Hey everybody, it's Darren here. So today I decided I want to start doing YouTube, and what better way to start off my YouTube than coming up with an idea of what to actually post on YouTube. So the whole purpose of today is just me showing you a system that I've made. It's using a number of different softwares, which we'll go through in a minute. And the whole purpose of this, what I want to do, I was sitting and I was trying to understand what do I want to post and why do I want to post it. So I've got some background within tech, within IT, and now more recently within AI and automations. And I've been seeing some stuff online, and I've decided that there's so many things out there, and I need some ideas on maybe what to post and why it would be a good idea. So what I came up with, and it's also fantastic for this video as well to get started off, is coming up with something which could show me and it could take me through what I want to post, kind of why I want to post it, and turning that into a system which I can now show to you and give you the framework. So let me just take you through the whole plan behind it. So you can see here a bit of an overview and what I'm trying to do with this. So step number one, what we want to do, the overview which we've just been over. Now, for the first step, what we want to do is pull through YouTube videos and begin to understand who the creator is, what the video title's been, the date it was uploaded, and then checking things like the metrics of the views, the likes, and all the comments. And I want to push all this stuff through and store it within I use Airtable, but it works equally well for Google Sheets as well. And I want to take in all those posts and then begin to analyze them and put something through of which are getting the most amount of views, which topics are they speaking about, and then which format is working well for them. The formats could be, I mean, it depends what platform you're using, but if it's things like, and if you were scraping out some of your competitors on Instagram, it might be things like if they're posting lots of reels, or maybe they're posting lots of just still images. You can detect that from the system which is in place. We then want to sort and filter these. So it's all fine and well having all this good content, all this good metrics, but is then what we need to do is take that and understand a bit more behind it, why it's performing well, and then how we can replicate that for our content moving forward. Then finally, the step here, which would be taking in that and then generating your own ideas on the back end of it. So yeah, be things like turning those into insights and then into ideas. So combining some of the trends from the channels into maybe new angles, reverse engineer some of those, maybe some of the viral videos, and then improve on it. And then maybe for me, just identifying some of the missing perspectives from the competitors and from their content. And I'll be using AI to be doing that the way that it's really just using ChatGPT, but it's all sort of gelled together using make.com. And that's the whole thing I want to show you from here. So without further ado, let me take you through what I have here. So step number one is I've made an area within my Airtable. So I've got a separate, they call them a sheet, sorry, a table. They call it a table within Airtable. And what I've done within here is I've just taken through a number of different people that I want to begin monitoring. So again, these are just some people that I watch and that I quite enjoy to learn from. So I thought, well, why not try and take some of their content and see if I can maybe repackage some of that. What I've done is I've placed in a button, and the button here is going to be able to take through all the content that they've done maybe within YouTube. One of the prerequisites here, though, you need to place in the link to the YouTube URL. The same idea if you want to do the same for their Instagram, you place in the Instagram link here. And then finally, I've done the same thing for LinkedIn as well, where you can then place that there, then analyze all their data as it comes through. So it's pretty cool. It's quite an interesting thing to do, and it saves you manually having to go through and just get some ideas. So these are just some of the YouTube channels. I'll give you the example within YouTube because that's what I've been doing for myself. If you do want to see some of the other ones I've built, things like the Instagram analysis and also the LinkedIn, I'm more than happy to do that as well. So just let me know just below in the comments. So how do we do this set? So it's all taking place within Make. So take your friend to Make. I'll just open up a new tab. And then within here, I'm just going to open up the old one that I had. So it was content and YouTube. So this is how it all begins. Essentially, what we've got here is step number one is a webhook. So the whole purpose of the webhook is just to take, as an action happens, you need to have a trigger point. And then mine is going to be the trigger point, as you'll see here, is trigger will be clicking this button and it's then going to kick something off within my automation. So step one of the automation here is going to be custom webhook, and that's then going to be pulling through from Airtable. It's then going to get the record from Airtable, so it's going to check based on what's been triggered. And you can see here what I've got here is my base. It's then checking out the profile to watch, and then the record is going to be the record ID, which is then triggered against that from the previous webhook. What then happens here is I put in a filter, filter, which is then going to check if it's Instagram or if it's YouTube. And I've set this one here as YouTube, so it's going to go down this path here. The first stage is going to go into Phantom Buster. And within Phantom Buster, what I've done is I made my own Phantom, which is using the YouTube channel video extraction. Phantom Buster you can check out online. I'll just give, if you want to see from mine, I can show it to you. Phantom Buster. But really what Phantom Buster does is it really just allows you to take through and essentially pull in and scrape some of the data from some of your kind of common platforms, things like Instagram and YouTube and so on. So it's already pre-built within here. And what you would do within here is check the solutions. The one that I'm using is the one for YouTube. You can see from here, these are the ones which they've got active. So I'm using this one here, the YouTube channel video extraction. And then all I would do is click on use now. And then what I do next is I pass through the details. So get a phantom, get in the phantom which I've set up. I'm then going to parse that JSON. So based on what is given through to me, you can see this is what it passes over. I'm then passing through the argument here. What I want to do from the argument is then make another API call. And what this call is doing here is it's going to fetch the agent, fetch all of them. It's then going to pass that through as a GET request. Putting through the content type and the application JSON here. The next thing what I want to do is essentially manipulate what Phantom Buster has within their standardized settings. So what I'm doing is I'm passing through the record name, the session cookie which I get from the previous JSON, and then things like how many videos do I want to pull through. In this case, I want to pull through 30, and I want to push that all back into my YouTube, which is from the Airtable. The final two steps that I've got within here is I'm going to be making that call. So now that I've manipulated what's happening within the Phantom Buster, you'll see down here at the bottom, I'm then placing in the ID and also the argument was a text. So I'm going to launch that Phantom, and then at the end, it's going to get the output. I'll just open that if you want to see it, if you want to copy it. So we've got here the body from the one previous. And then finally, we're getting the output of this Phantom, which is going to be the body of this as well. Okay. Now, this is me allowed, and I'll show you what this is doing now. So if I want to run this, what I'll do is I will take a YouTube channel. Let's just give you an example, a random example of a YouTube. AI YouTube channel. Let's take this one here. I feel very active though, are they? Okay, we'll keep it as it is. So I've got a few people within here that I've already placed through. There's a chap that I've been following for ages and kind of uh, take through Nick. So Nick posts a lot of good content on his channel about AI and automations. So what I'll do here is I'll click through it and I'll click Analyze YouTube. You'll see what happens here is it then takes to that webhook. Clicking on there is then going to start off. It's then going to run through in here. And you'll see from the execution has started. And what's happened here is gone through the automation and it's now going to start processing those. Now that's me got to the point where I can now push through all the data and push that into Phantom Buster. The final step that you then need to have is a second, and you'll see from here. I then want to take everything from Phantom Buster and then push that back into my Airtable. So I've had to make another scenario with the Nick to do that. I'm just going to double check that that's happened. So you'll see this is a channel that I wanted to analyze. I've then got a separate table within here. And if I go down, yep, so it's pulled them through, which is great. You can see it's pulled them all through. The date that it was pushed, so it was today. You can see the time, which is essentially now. And all the data in relation to that channel is now sitting in my Airtable. So what I can now do from here, and the final steps I was going to show you is now the previous flow that I had was essentially taken through all the details from the Airtable into Phantom Buster. And then the next stage, what it's then doing is taking it through from Phantom Buster and then pushing that into the Airtable. And this is what's happening here. So it's within this one here. Phantom Buster, ignore the tab I just had open there, it was different. What's down here is waiting for the webhook again, and this webhook is from Phantom Buster. It's waiting for that to come through. It's then going to parse that, so that the results that you get from as previous was from your Phantom Buster. And we're then going to route it to check. Do we already have, you'll see I've got a filter here. It should come up with the profile URL. I need to change that. Essentially, we're basically saying if already exists, we're going to then, that's actually here. So the query here is equal to YouTube. So query is here and it contains YouTube. So it's then going to go this way, create a record, and you just map this all against your different things that you've got within your table. So things like I'm putting that into the competitor analysis, putting the query through there as YouTube, the name, also the profile link, who it is, and anything else that you can scrape out as well from Phantom Buster can just be mapped against everything within here. Okay. So now that we've got all the data into the Airtable, you can see we've got everything here now, which is fantastic. What I then want to do is so you can see all these different videos that I've got, all these ideas. Let's just take these ones that I've highlighted. I can see what's happening here is all from YouTube, who the profile is, and also things like how many views these videos have been getting. So you'll see there's some outliers. This one here has got 38,000 views. We've got this one's got 15, this one's got 24. And we can begin to get some trends as to like maybe why that's the case. And what I want to then do is take for all this information here, and you'll see from within the worksheet that I had at the beginning. So now at this stage, what I've been able to do is pull through all the YouTube profiles. I could do this for 1, for 2, for 10, for how many different YouTubes that I want to do it for. We then want to essentially analyze the performance. So we've kind of done a little bit of that, but the way I want to do it now is generating my own ideas. So taking through all the information, then generating the ideas on the back end. So from within here, what I'm going to do is, so if I highlight all the ones that I've taken through today, let's just create a filter for this by last modified is today. Cool. So these are all the ones that I want to push through from today. And I want to change the status in here as to TBC. This one here is basically me saying, like, have I analyzed them using AI? Like, is it going to be a good fit for me? Or should I maybe not take the titles and try something new? And I've got kind of a full mechanism that I use with AI to then tell me, this is a cool idea, this is why it's a cool idea. And also gives me a score. So I want to analyze these and get a cool score on the back end of that. So you'll see I've got a couple of additional things in here. So what's the score of that video against myself and my credentials? And why would that be good for me to start off a YouTube channel or YouTube video with that title? So the next flow that I've got, this is my third flow that I'll take you through, and this is this one within here. What I had to do here is the same idea. So what we're doing in this one here is high level. We just want to, I'll take you through high level and explain all the various modules within here. So step one, what we want to do is watch the record within the Airtable. There has to be some form of a trigger point to get it to come into here. Okay. We're then going to check and search for, in my case, I'm going to check for which ones have a status as TBC. Essentially, it means if they've already been analyzed, then we don't want to push them through. It's only the ones which have a status as TBC. We're going to create a JSON structure. And the JSON structure will then allow me to push this through into AI to then give me a nice kind of readable format back in return. So I've put through a couple here. I've just made a new JSON structure by clicking on, essentially if I show you from the edit, I've put an ID, which is going to be a number. I've got a title, which is a text input. I'm passing through the channel URL as text. The platform is text. It doesn't really matter about that, to be honest. The views, which is quite important. And then at the end, I would just click on save. And then it's going to kind of make some JSON structure for that for me. And this is where it becomes important when I push that through into ChatGPT. So I'm going to push all this stuff through from all the JSON, all the information that I've received. And you'll see from within here, what we're doing is I'm calling a chat completion. I'm using ChatGPT 4, using a system, and I'm basically just saying you're an expert at evaluating video ideas for AI and automation. Score each video from 0 to 100 on expertise, market demand, feasibility, value, and uniqueness. Provide a ranking and short explanation. And what I've said is your response must follow the exact JSON format provided by the user. Do not add extra fields or change the structure. Usually ChatGPT, there are times where it can hallucinate a little bit, so just make sure you include things like this. And for the second section, what I've done is I've placed in, here's my video ideas, which I've taken from the previous section. So from all the bits that I've got in the Airtable, pushed that into JSON, and I've passed that JSON over into ChatGPT. I want it to return only a valid JSON object in the exact format. And the way I got all this stuff here was just putting that into ChatGPT itself on a separate tab that I had open. And basically just said, give me a JSON object file format. So I can then take that back out and then put that back into my Airtable at the end. This stuff here is probably quite complex. And if you do want this, I can put it in the description for you as well. The temperature I set as 0.7, and that's fine. Click on save. Now my final couple of sections here is then taking in that data structure. So I want to parse the JSON. Now parsing it into stuff like this, so I've got, again, truthfully, the way that I'd done this was I generated that. So I just clicked on generate. And I just pushed through into here the sample JSON data that I wanted the output to be in. Again, I can give you this in the description if you need that as well. And what I'll be evaluating that against is the content that I received from ChatGPT itself. And I'll show you an example of all this functioning as well. I'm going to create an JSON structure. So it's going to be things like title, score, and verdict, which I pulled through from the JSON which has just been parsed. I'm then going to search again for the Airtable and essentially this is me now putting that back into the Airtable to give me the ideas. So the ID, what I'm doing here is I'm checking the ID is equal to the ID from here. And then finally updating that record and just pushing through things like the score. And you'll see from within here, what I'm doing is I'm putting in the score. And also the verdict. Why do I want, or why does AI think that's a good idea for me? So then granted it might look a bit complicated from the front end. I can assure you it's actually quite simple. And I'll show you it running. So I'll give you a full overview now of the system. So you'd seen me pull through and scrape out some of the taken through from Nick, analyzed his YouTube, which I've now got all the content for within this table here. And you'll see that I've got the filter applied. Now what I want to do is run and get some scores. So right now I don't really know, is this a good idea or is this a bad idea? The first one says, the best sales agency offer to scale past $1 million a month. How we automate an entire sales team in 19 minutes. Or why I'm completely redesigning my AI agency. So there's a few things in here which are relevant, but let's just see what AI thinks of these. So I'm going to select on this. And I'm going to manually specify a date. Let's do that for today. Save that, and we'll give that a run. And now what will be happening through within the Airtable, once this has been generated, just double check we've got some results. We do, which is cool. And now things are beginning to happen. So if I change this now, what I've also got at the end is it's changing it to done, which is cool. And you'll see it's now beginning to score these out. So the first one is given a score of 85 out of 100. And it's giving me a reason why. So the video topic is very appealing to businesses and entrepreneurs who are looking to scale their operations. There's a high market demand for such content. The video is feasible because it's based on practical strategies. It provides significant blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. And what it's doing is it's giving me some ideas now that I can take for myself. 7 to 8, this is not a bad score. The video topic is quite relevant. And if I push these, let's just push that all the way to the front. Take these two, push that all the way along. Do that here. So it's basically telling me that this is a good example. And it's just going to work its way through. I'm going to actually stop that because it's giving me enough now. I don't need any more. Thank you. And that's it. That's the system there. So I can now begin to understand what could be good ideas for me to do. We've got this one here, Beginner's Guide to Appify, 85 score. And it's basically saying the video topic is an excellent fit for AI and automation. It's feasible and provides valuable information to the audience. There's a high degree of uniqueness and it's involved in unique applications of AI. However, the market demand may vary as it target, and that's very true. It does target a specific group of users. So that's the system. It's pretty cool. I can also take this a step further, which I might do in the future, but there's also a way that I can now embed things like the news. So anything which is happening in the outer world, maybe right now we've got the whole sort of like DeepSeek and so the whole kind of DeepSeek versus OpenAI thing. So I could begin to push that through into like a newsroom. And from that newsroom, I could begin to figure out how can I embed that into my content moving forward, and does it have a good relevant score at the minute? So that's my first YouTube video. It's been generated by this exact system. And if you like it, feel free to like and subscribe to it. I'm going to try and get some of these moving now in the future. And I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Speak to you soon.